sit back and relax. You're listening to the Wealth Tech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. This podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. My guest for this episode was Raj Bhattacharyya, CEO of Robertson Stephens. We spoke about a couple topics that I know you're going to find interesting, including when to choose best-in-class versus all-in-one platforms. That's a question I get asked all the time, so you're going to hear what Raj chose for Robertson Stephens. Pipeline velocity in wealth management. Third topic is the white space thesis, and you have to wait until the second half of the episode to find out what this is. And agentic AI as the game changer. And speaking of agentic AI, it seems everyone these days wants to talk to us about oversight and management of AI agents. But this is only possible if your underlying tech and data strategy is designed with AI in mind. So if you're running a wealth management firm and have questions about how you can best support and control your growing AI infrastructure, I want to tell you about a terrific offering from Ezra Group. We call it our fractional CTO service, or Fracto. Fracto can support your current CTO on specific projects or help build your tech and data strategy from the ground up. Our service puts Ezra Group's senior consultants in your corner on a monthly retainer. We can fix your integrations, clean up your data, and execute projects that have been on the back burner for years. So if you want to free up your firm for exponential growth, you need to run, not walk, to our website, ezragroup.com, and click the golden Contact Us button on the homepage to schedule a free consultation. We know what works and what doesn't. Okay, some standard housekeeping chores. Please subscribe to the show, yada, yada, yada. Make sure you check out our sponsor, the Invest in Others Charitable Foundation at investinothers.org. And if you're a tech vendor in the wealth management space, please make sure to register your product for our Wealth Tech Integration Score at our vendor portal, which you can find at ezragroup.com/register. Now, let's kick this thing off. All right, I'm very excited to introduce our next guest. It is Raj Bhattacharyya, CEO of Robertson Stephens. Raj, it's great to see you again.
Great to see you too, Craig.
Well, we're the only ones seeing each other. People who are listening on the podcast can't see us, but I see you there in your office in New York.
Yeah, rainy New York today.
I've been rainy New Jersey, so I get it 100%. And we need to get out of here. We need to get out of town. And we were just talking before we started about travel. And I told you I'm going to Colombia next month for a personal trip. I'm going to a wedding, but also we have some clients there that I'm going to turn into a business trip. And you mentioned you've been to Colombia recently.
Yeah, we were there last summer. My wife was speaking at a conference there, so we turned that into a family trip for about 9 days, and it's a fascinating country. Where is your wedding at?
The wedding's in Cartagena.
Okay.
So we'll be there for a couple of days.
It's probably the place most people only visit. Make it a point to actually see the country if you can, because it's Cartagena is a beautiful town, but it's a colonial Caribbean town. There are mountains. Bogota is at 8,700 feet or so, and it's just a beautiful town. Medellin has turned out to be one of the expat capitals of the world, where people just go and work out of. People can work from anywhere.
Our clients are in Medellin, so I'm definitely going to go to Medellin to visit our office.
That is a very changed town. I mean, most people know Medellin from Narcos, and it's completely transformed to actually one of the safest cities in Colombia right now.
I'm glad to hear that, since I'm going there. But this is not a travel podcast.
Try to make it to the coffee region. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. We went to 4 different places. They were all extraordinarily different. The people are the friendliest on earth, and the fruits the fruits are amazing. The food is very good, and just have a great time. It's
I
a very
will.
diverse country.
I can't wait to go. And while this isn't a travel podcast, glad we got to cover that.
We can make it one.
Yeah, we could. Maybe I'll start another podcast. We'll just talk about travel. Let me know if you want to hear that. But what we want to talk about is wealth management, and we want to hear more about your firm. So please give us a 30-second elevator pitch for Robertson Stephens.
Sure. Thanks, Craig. The brand might be familiar to many as this great tech-focused investment bank in the 90s. That's not what we do today. We own the brand, but we started this company about 8 years ago with a basic premise that in the white space that existed between the large wirehouses and the smaller independent firms, there was a need for a larger firm that married the best of both worlds with the resources and the thoughtfulness around investments, particularly alternative investments, the comprehensiveness of the wealth planning, great technology that, can come from dedicating a group of people to solving these issues alongside great advisors, but continue to have a fiduciary relationship with your clients, and a true fiduciary relationship was very important to us. So we built this firm, we've grown it up, and we continue to offer what I think is a pretty differentiated experience, particularly for high net worth clients. We are now national in across 14 states in the country, and continue to grow. We're just approaching 9 billion in assets.
That is terrific. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. And yet, and me being in financial services for over 35 years, I of course remember the old Robertson Stephens firm. So I thought it was a pretty shrewd move to acquire at least the rights to the name and bring it back.
Yeah, it certain people remember it, particularly in the Bay Area where we're headquartered. But really, the tech and the finance industry is now morphed nationally. So it's actually well known to places where tech and finance have moved all over the country.
Well, this is, of course, a tech podcast. So I want to focus on some tech. So with Robertson Stephens being the legacy tech-focused investment bank, but you're doing something different, how does that, there's still some institutional DNA there, and does that influence the way you vet and deploy the digital solutions you're using for your high net worth clients?
Yeah, I mean, given our DNA, given the history of Robertson Stephens born in San Francisco and being such a San Francisco icon and being a very tech-focused historical bank, it would be embarrassing if we didn't care about tech or if we got tech wrong, right. I mean, to be really honest. But irrespective of that, we have cared about tech from day one. It is one of our 4 pillars alongside investments planning and being a fiduciary. It's always been one of our 4 pillars since founding of this firm 8 years ago. And, we spend a lot of time on it. Greg, you and I have spent time on it as well, and outside of this podcast.
Yes, we have.
We think tech has made 2 main uses, or 2 main users, the end client and our advisors. I think for our advisors, where a lot of wealth tech solutions have gone, we view this as an enablement tool. Our view of wealth tech for advisors is that it should help an advisor be the most efficient version of themselves as they can realistically be. And that is what we want to use tech for, to enable the advisors. For our clients, we want to have it be an intuitive experience that does a few different things. It should allow, ideally, a world in which people communicate via app increasingly on all sorts of things, whether it's to get from one place to another or increasingly talk to large groups of other people. It should be the place where obviously you can see your portfolio, you can see your wealth plan, but also should be a place where you can have two-way communications with your advisor, and that can be conversations or data. And that is what our vision for tech for our clients should be.
Yeah, we would love to see more intuitive technology.
Yeah,
across the wealth management space. Although it's getting better. I think AI is helping with that intuitiveness. But let's talk about just the core tech stack. I know you've said you built an integrated best of breed tech stack versus deploying an all-in-one platform, which is a question we get a lot here at Ezra Group. But can you talk about the products you chose as the core components of the tech stack for Robertson Stephens?
Yeah, I mean, we would love it to be a single integrated, text app that rules them all. We haven't found that one yet. So we use Adapart for portfolio reporting, Salesforce as our CRM and frankly workflow management tool, eMoney for planning, Tamarack for trading. And I think we might be the only, if not maybe one of very few firms that uses both Adapart and Tamarack because we like them better for different use cases. Stratify for our risk analytics, Canoe Intelligence for alt operations. We have a meeting notes application. We use Vanilla for some of our estate planning reviews. We have an internal AI built chatbot that we all use internally for asking questions called Ask Robbie, and at some point we may take it out. We call it Ask Robbie from the old Robertson Stephens acronym. And as I said, we have a proprietary client type that we've developed with a partner for our clients as well.
You say it's a proprietary portal?
It's actually an app. Our goal with this was to make it mobile first, because I think most people are going to want to be mobile first as opposed to website first. But it works on both.
There are actually other firms that are using Adipar for reporting and Tamarack for trading. It's not uncommon.
Okay. Oh, that's great. I would love to meet them because it's a challenge,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, building any heterogeneous platform where you've got different applications that don't normally communicate is a challenge. So, yeah, there's a lot of trade-offs you have to make. So, as you have made some, so there are a couple of difficult trade-offs that you've made in your tech stack. So maybe you can talk a little bit about those and how you maintain flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with that, which is the trade-off between integration versus having best in class. If you choose to have what you think of as best in class, you have to have, you have to settle for less than 100% integration, and these various companies are integrating more and more with each other, and I wish they would do it faster and with real two-way integration. But there are some trade-offs there that you have to work through, because it would be great to be fully integrated, but then you lose a lot of functionality if you do. And we've chosen the route of going best in class versus integrated, because I think our clients and our advisors need that and demand that, but it is a trade-off.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned that Salesforce being your CRM, you're using that for workflow. So there clearly is a hurdle there. I mean, Salesforce is a tool. Here at Ezra Group, we do a lot of Salesforce deployments and Salesforce development work, and that can be a big hurdle. And you mentioned that you've turned it, you believe that your CRM is the functional operational command center. So what was the biggest hurdle in getting there and doing that? And do you still have a ways to go to make it a command center? Or do you feel comfortable with what you've got so far?
Yeah, I mean, the two basic challenges with that, which is that, Salesforce is a very broad piece of software, right? So you have to customize it to become a command center for a wealth manager. You can't just install Salesforce in someone's desktop and suddenly it's there. So we have spent a lot of time doing a lot of customization. We have an internal team that is Salesforce, very Salesforce savvy, that actually does a lot of customization, and that is just taking time and effort. And the other is that, most people in our industry did not grow up using Salesforce as a command center, to be really honest. I mean, there is a lot of efficiency to doing what, we just talked about. We have empirical data across different advisors within our own firm that people that do use Salesforce as command center are able to be more efficient, fewer tasks or situations fall through the cracks, and people grow faster because of the efficiency. But that does take time to install, time to train, and it's a journey that we have to try to get there. Like the B2B SaaS industry has created a lot of best practices. Now, people in wealth management are not B2B SaaS professionals or salespeople in the B2B industry. We are advisors first and foremost. Mm. But there are some practices from the industry that we can take and learn, and use to make our own industry more efficient and process better.
So what are some of those practices that give me like one of those practices you've taken from industry to make our own more efficient?
The way you process, a lead through the pipeline, right? The pipeline velocity of going from a lead to an MQL to an SQL to a one transaction. And that is something that is institutionalized in the B2B world. That is not how most wealth advisors have grown up thinking about their clients. These are not enterprise clients. But you can use that same framework, and it exists in Salesforce if you code it right. And we've done the work in coding it. And that way you can actually get really good metrics around what's working and what's not working in your pipeline, in moving your prospects through your pipeline. That's one. Just workflow management we talked about earlier. In a firm that is across 14 states, 27 offices, communication, tasks. I mean, you just can't rely on things like email or Microsoft Teams for managing workflow. It has to be done in a more organized manner. Otherwise, things fall through the cracks or things don't happen in time. So it has to be the core of your operation from a workflow and client management perspective.
Raj, can you share a lesson learned? So Salesforce is a very common application that a lot of wealth management firms use, especially enterprise ones with multiple offices, spread out regionally and geographically. What's something you would do differently now if you were starting your Salesforce implementation from scratch?
Do everything we're doing now, and everything we've done in the last year to 2 years around the true transformation of Salesforce into a command center and a workflow and a pipeline velocity tool. Do that 5 years ago. Everything, just do everything earlier.
Do it faster.
Do it faster, do it earlier.
Good advice. All right. So we've seen a lot of functionality in wealth management software as become commoditized. A lot of things are table stakes and just expected. So what is the specific tech alpha that Robertson Stephens provides to justify your value proposition, since you're really focusing on ultra high net worth families?
I think the commoditization of everything technology related is both a threat, but I think actually a massive opportunity for the wealth management industry. And I think the opportunity part wins out. We can talk about agentic AI now or later, but I do think agentic AI has the ability to transform what we do over the next couple of years into effectively making companies like ours a heck of a lot more efficient. We can do a lot more for our existing clients. We can cover more clients with the same number of people, because effectively we can have agents sitting there doing some of the things you currently have human beings doing.
How much more efficient do you see agentic AI making advisors? For example, how much more efficient are your advisors now just with the AI tools you've deployed so far?
Historical AI or AI pre-agentic is made people a lot more efficient, right? But it's still, and people are a lot more efficient because you can have whatever your favorite AI tool may be, do things for you, but you still have to be present. I think agentic AI, and I might be going out on a limb if I say this, but I think agentic AI is the biggest revolution in technology since the internet, because you can actually have someone not just tell you things, but actually do things for you. And that truly makes you efficient, because it is like another being, well, not a human being, but as another being. And that efficiency, I think, will dwarf the efficiency we've seen in the last, say, 3 years since ChatGPT, since GPT 3.5 came out.
There was someone who, I can't remember who said this. I think it was Google's CEO, Sundar Pichai, said AI is even more profound in terms of human culture, and is that it's even more profound than fire, right? Not just the internet, but fire. Going back to that, right?
Wow.
So I think he's probably right that The way AI was going to change things is going to be much bigger than even the internet itself, which changed things tremendously. All right, so everyone knows that I partner with Michael Keatsis on the Keatsis Ezra Group Advisor Tech map. And that map has expanded since we started working on it. I've been working on it with Michael for over 7 years. And back then it had 150 products. Now it's almost over 600 applications. So what is, from your point of view, what is the largest gap in the current wealth tech ecosystem that's preventing, let's just focus on onboarding, for example. Client onboarding is a major issue when it comes to both advisor and client experience. So what do you see as the biggest gap preventing seamless end-to-end client onboarding?
I'll go back to my previous answer. I think if I think of onboarding, if I think of the amount of time that is involved, is just not is what something a person is doing, whether it is transferring a file, data from one place to another place, waiting for a client to send something, interacting with a client when the client has sent something incorrectly, liaising with our custodians on data. Sometimes mistakes get made. Agentic AI can actually do so much of that, where you can have one human supervise a group of agents doing something in a manner. You still need that human check, but that same human can probably have multiple agents doing this over and can make the client onboarding experience just a lot more efficient. And secondly, if our partners are also using agentic AI, right? And let's say we have agents at Robertson Stephens effectively connected to agents at Fidelity and Schwab. Just think of the efficiency that gives to the agentic AI. It gives that to the onboarding process, because so much time is just spent liaising with our custodians on an onboarding, that you could just have some human being check it at the end of the day on both ends, versus actually sitting there waiting for things. I actually think, and I don't, this is very new. We've just starting using Cloud Cowork to do a bunch of this. But we obviously, I think there are probably people you speak to in the wealth tech space that are developing solutions for this that I can't wait to try.
There are tremendous numbers of them. They're popping up every day. It's I think it's really revitalized our industry, where we didn't really have this tremendous number of firms, startups coming in with new software all the time for advisors and advisory firms. But speaking of that you've had some experience before you became CEO of Robertson Stephens in 2020, where you were the founder of YY Capital, which was an early stage investor in fintech companies. So how does that experience help you with your work at Robertson Stephens and choosing software and technology to use?
Yeah, no, I just spent a bit of time, and I got very active in this fintech space, particularly the New York-based fintech space, but frankly national to some extent. And I still am and continue to be an angel investor across some companies. And what you learn through that experience is that the world changes, technology changes, and whether it's a portfolio company you own or a partner of yours who's building something for you, they need to be nimble. I mean, it's an adapt or die world out there. And for a user we're not a tech company. We use a lot of tech. We think of ourselves as tech savvy, but as a consumer of wealth tech, it is a little bit like being a kid in a candy store with our choice of wealth tech out there. But that is only true if you have the desire, the ability, and you put in the time to invest in evaluating all this candy. There is a ton of candy there, but you actually have to learn to try them all and evaluate them to use what's best for you. Otherwise, it's useless.
There's a lot of candy when it comes to software, and it can rot your teeth if you're not careful.
That is also true.
All right, so
very good analogy.
Time is making fools of us, Raj. We're almost at the end. I have time for one more question. So I'm going to jump to the end and talk about the big picture and looking forward. So stepping back, looking at the major forces shaping the RIA landscape, what single trend besides AI, you can't mention AI, agentic AI, that you believe have the most profound impact on the RIA space over the next 2 to 3 years? And what strategic moves would you recommend if you were in a room of CEOs? What advice would you give them to help position themselves ahead of this?
I think we talked about, I'll go back to what I said at the beginning, which is there are some great tech trends. I assume you meant the question in a tech way.
I'm thinking about tech, yes.
Yes. Look, there's some great tech partners that we have. And I think the deployment and the use cases of the various technologies out there will become substantially greater if they're able to integrate better. And I think that'll happen. And you've started to see this. But having truly functional APIs across the major vendors and some of the minor vendors is happening. And I think will continue to happen. And I think that changes the amount it changes the amount of time wealth management firms spend on data, because if data is seamlessly transferred across things, and very importantly, accurately transferred, because then you have to check it, it can transform just the efficiency of your average person in operations, or a client-facing person, or anybody else, and that can change our lives.
It's already changed my life. I have to say, I'm sure a lot of people in the audience probably feel the same way. But we are hit the limit here. I wish we can go on and on, but we can't. Where can people listening find more information about Robertson Stephens?
Our website is www.rscapital.com. If you're interested in joining us and you're an advisory firm out there, we have another website called join.rscapital.com. There are 2 websites we have. Please feel free to go to either of them, and we have a contact us button on both, and please reach out if you want to talk more.
Raj, thank you so much for being here. It was great talking to you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Hey, it's Craig again. Here are my top 3 takeaways from this episode. Number 1, best in class beats fully integrated. Raj explained how he chose to build a heterogeneous tech stack using key applications like Edipar, Salesforce, eMoney, Tamarack over an all-in-one platform. For him, the trade-off was worth it. Superior functionality in each area outweighs the integration headaches, especially when vendors are improving their API connectivity and you've got money to hire a really good IT staff to support all that. Number 2, agentic AI as the game changer. Agentic AI, which is agents that do things, not just inform you of things, represents the biggest tech revolution since the internet, in Raj's opinion, and mine too. It will transform onboarding, data transfer, advisor efficiency, and all these different operational functions far more dramatically than the generative AI chatbots we've been used to the past 3 years. And 3, how Robertson Stephens chose Salesforce as their command center and the commitment that it requires. Turning Salesforce into a true operational hub demands heavy customization, internal expertise, and a cultural buy-in from advisors and the rest of the firm. Raj gave some really good advice. If you're going to do this, start this transformation earlier and faster than you think necessary. The efficiency gains, such as fewer drop tasks and faster growth, are real but require sustained investment. All right. Congratulations. You reached the end of another episode of the Wealth Tech Today podcast. But before you go, please drop by our website, ezragroup.com, and scroll to the bottom of our homepage and sign up for our newsletter. Once a month, you receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information, and updates. You won't be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.